As they get down toward the first corner at the back of Paul Tracy's car here, the fin, the shark fin. They first came out with that a week ago at Phoenix, and it's part of development that leads to an announcement this week that they made that they're going to be racing at Indianapolis with the Mercedes engine, a pushrod production-based engine.
Paul, this is really an earth-shattering announcement made jointly by Penske Racing and Mercedes-Benz. They're not going to race with the Mercedes next year at Indy. They're going to race this year. It's probably the best kept secret in racing in the last 10 or 15 years, I would say. What it means, they're going to take advantage of what you might call a loophole or an incentive clause in the Indy rules, run a stock block engine, which rumors already have posted, they think, as much as 1,000 horsepower. They should have tremendous, at least a speed advantage. Reliability will of course be a question, but it's major racing news. Penske and Mercedes getting together.
And ironically, Sam, the reliability on the engine and the testing, they've run many tests so far at 500 miles and longer, 500 to 600 miles with the same engine without any failure. And believe it or not, they were running in all that snow back in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, shoveling snow all night long, starting to run at 8 o'clock in the morning. Don't you find it amazing that they kept that a secret, and they kept the fin a secret? I mean, the Penske group is really operating as marked men now. You wonder what else they might know about what's ahead. Competition's very severe today.
Something else to remember as we look forward to the Indy 500. Pushrod engine has completed 200 laps, the full 500 miles, only once in the last 25 years. So we keep track of the leader, Paul Tracy. You can see he's pulled out ahead of second place Al Unser Jr., but Emerson Fittipaldi is staying in the fight. Much of the news this month has been the introduction of new Mercedes-Benz engine by Roger Penske. Sam Posey is at the Penske garage.
Well, Paul, the Mercedes stirred controversy because it was built to different rules than most of the other engines in this race. These rules, on the books since 1992, were written to encourage engines similar to those in passenger cars. Now, this engine is completely legal, but it is not intended for passenger cars. It is intended for this race only. Now, other engines have been built to these rules, including one that holds the track record here, but they have been chronically unreliable, had a tough time finishing the race. Now, Roger Penske, your team has won 8 of the last 15 Indy 500s. Your cars have been running very well with your regular Ilmore engines. Why go to the trouble and the risk of a special engine for this race?
Well, I think, Sam, when we looked at the track last year and the change in configuration, that we took the warm-up lane out where people could run below the line in order to make speed through the corners. You need torque in this race to pass on the straightaways. We had long lines. They've closed the pits, so the racing strategy is different, and we think that the new Mercedes-Benz engine will give us that advantage on race day.
Why develop the engine and test it in complete secrecy? You really put one over on the racing establishment.
Well, when you're competing in the biggest race in the world, you don't give your competition your drawings of what you're going to do.
Well, good luck to you today. Back to you, Paul.
Roger represents experience here. He knows the secrets of an Indy win. To a brand new driver, though, Indy history in the making. Car 31. That number scoring its first win, and Mercedes-Benz in its very first race in the Indy cars in modern time wins the Indianapolis 500 as a brand new engine. Al Unser Jr. takes his second Indianapolis 500 and his dad crying.
Well, he's got reason to cry, Paul.
Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Roger Penske getting congratulated all around. The Mercedes, your 10th win at Indy. What are your emotions?
Well, it's just fantastic. You know, the team, this guy Unser is just the greatest. He stayed there all day. His dad and I talked to him this morning. He said, Al, you win this race at the end. And he did a great job. Credit to the guys. This engine, fantastic. Great for Mercedes, for Marlboro, Mobil, and all our sponsors. I'm just thrilled.
I guess the only disappointment is Emo in the Waller. It might have been 1-2.
Well, yeah, understanding, but, you know, we got to get one, and then we were worrying about the second one, so unbelievable. Thanks.
Congratulations, Roger.
So, interesting announcement out of the United States Auto Club this week as they reduced, not for these engines, but for the Mercedes purpose-built pushrod engine, reduce the boost pressures for next year. What kind of impact do you think it's going to have, Derek?
I think if Penske has another year's development on that engine and the engine car package, he will be just as fast as he was this year, if not faster. So if that rule says it as it is, everybody that wants to go to Indianapolis with a realistic chance of winning may have to go with one of those new modified stock block rule engines, the 209, just like the Mercedes-Benz that Penske has.
But my question would be, based on its performance this year, even with that reduction, don't you almost have to look at a purpose-built push rod for Indy for next year? And if so, where's it going to come from?
Well, that's right. And of course, Mercedes probably want to sell or supply their engines to other people. Remember, we have the Greenfield engine that was undeveloped this year. And we also have the Brayton-built engine that's now owned by John Reynard. But I think it's unfortunate that people will have to have possibly 2 separate engine programs to go next year and be competitive in every race.
And also Ford Cosworth has at least an engine in drawing, if not one in existence, that also can fulfill that purpose. This week, the United States Auto Club, who sanctions the Indianapolis 500, announced a second reduction in turbo boost to the pushrod purpose-built engines like the Mercedes-Benz that led 193 laps in winning this year's 500. On June 13th, the boost for those engines was reduced from 55 to 52 inches. Ilmor, the company that built the Mercedes-Benz, then began building engines for the 1995 Indy 500 for Penske Racing and for other Ilmor customers. Last week, USAC further reduced the boost to 48 inches. According to Paul Ray of Ilmor, 30 blocks and crankshafts had been machined that are now worthless, a loss in excess of $1 million. I talked with Roger Penske, a partner in Ilmor, who called the action politically motivated and said nothing at all had changed since June. Penske said that no engineering data was collected on the Mercedes-Benz and added, what assurances does any engine builder now have that they won't change the rules again? That change, by the way, also impacts Greenfield and Menard engines. Mike Devin of USAC had said that the boost on any engine could be changed at any time. Honda said that they hoped that engineering data would be used to make such decisions, and then the rules stay in place. Peter Spence of Ford Cosworth said the Mercedes-Benz engine took advantage of a rule, and they would prefer everyone were on even ground. IndyCar does not permit that purpose-built pushrod engine and therefore had no position on the change at all. Roger Penske said he will now consider racing at Indy next year using the existing stock block rules. The Speedway and USAC also announced that only one engine will be allowed for the Indy 500 for 1996 and beyond, a 4-cam turbocharged racing engine of 2.2 liters. Now that's the same design as is currently used in the Ford Cosworth, the Honda, and Ilmor, except that new engine would be about half a liter smaller. All the manufacturers and IndyCar welcomed that idea, assuming that there are no sudden changes to that rule. USAC said the rule will remain unchanged through the year 2000.
Well, you saw Roger Penske there. It's a significant skirmish because it places Tony George and Roger in an adversarial position.
And really what the bottom line of it is, it just puts the Mercedes business to bed. It's done, it's finished. They can't have enough horsepower with that kind of boost, so they'll just have to use something else.
All right, more.
Very interesting story throughout this first week of practice leading to qualifying is the travails of Team Penske. You know of their great success here at Indianapolis over the years. The Penske teams have won 10 times in the 500. And of course, they're the defending champions in Al Unser Jr. driving for Roger Penske. This year, they've had a hard time getting their car balanced so that they can get comfortably through the corners at full speed. For most of this week of practice, both Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi have been hung up in the mid-220 range. Now, yesterday, little Al hit a top speed of 227.2, Fittipaldi a fraction under 225. But as you can tell, that puts them significantly off the pace set by so many who've been over that 230 mark. Couple of things to keep in mind. The Mercedes engine that's being used this year at the 500, not to be confused with the Mercedes power plant that won this race a year ago. And we're going to be talking more about that as this broadcast continues. We'll tell you about the differences and how the rules were changed and what happened, the impact it's had here with the Penske team. Very interesting story. Now, speaking of just inside the garage area, Paul, we find Roger Penske and Rick Mears, who's had such great success at this racetrack. We talked a few minutes ago, Roger, when we came on the air about how tough the week has been, it seems, for your team, trying to find the speed, to find the comfort zone through the corners, and chase those doggone Menards. How frustrating has this been this week?
Well, I guess that when you sat on the pole last year and had the success we had, and you come back here and we're struggling for some speed, we realize how good that motor was last year. Unfortunately, the rules were changed and we couldn't run our stock block engine. But again, Al made a real good jump yesterday afternoon, over 227. We think that's going to be a good speed to start with today, and Emerson has put the same setup on. So basically, it's still a long way until we get qualifying over. And you know, we've been here 27 years, and I've been up and I've been down a lot farther than this, and we still came back.
Have you had to change the approach at all, or is it the same typical Penske approach in terms of the testing and the miles on the racetrack, trying to find that comfort zone?
Well, I think you call it a comfort zone. We're looking for a particular speed for qualifying. I think we run the car a lot, what you would call race simulation, so we've got a lot of information there. The issue is with just 2 cars, the amount of information we get versus people that have the Lolas or the other Reynards, they get many, many miles of information. But I think our progress has been good. I think that, you know, it's frustrating to a certain extent, but, you know, this place can bite you pretty quick, so we got to be careful we don't get off our plan and we stay with the program. I think that Rick's been a real big help, and I think Al and Emerson, quite honestly, have been pretty cool at this point, so we'll see if we can turn it up this afternoon.
Let's get a word here from Rick Mears. Rick, so many times you've had the grand success at this racetrack, and we've talked to you in the past about how tough it's been to step aside. Are you totally comfortable now in this role of being more or less a mentor or a coach?
Oh yeah, very much so. You know, I've really enjoyed the position I'm at now, and you know, it was the right decision. And definitely, even at this point in time, I've still had no regrets, no second thoughts. I still enjoy working with the Marlboro team, and you know, with Emerson and Al, and in the engineering aspect of it a little bit. I've always enjoyed that, and I'm still comfortable with it. But you know, right now we've got to work on the race. You know, that's going to be a little more level playing field, I think, for 500 miles, and that's going to be the key. And that's really what we need to work on.
Thank you so much, both Rick and Roger. Let's go now to Sam Posey. You made the point earlier that there's a considerable difference between the Mercedes that powered your teammate to victory and powered you so close to a win last year than the Mercedes you have this year. What's the difference from the driver's standpoint? What's the different feel for you this year opposed to 1 year ago?
Well, the whole package, the engine package is a completely different engine, but the new Mercedes-Benz engine that we're running now, it should be strong. Yes, the Rahal and Rahal, they're up to close to 230s. I mean, that's the speed we are looking for, 230, 231. Mm-hmm. And I think the new engine will provide that speed, but it's a different rule, I mean, different type of engine. But we'll be up there.
Well, I thank you, gentlemen. No question the tension down there in the pit lane will grow as the temperature rises higher. Now, one of the great stories this weekend, unless you happen to be standing in their garage, is Team Penske, the most successful team in the history of this great race, with the defending champion Al Unser Jr. almost 10 miles an hour slow. What's going on?
And a team, Bob, that has more resources available to them than anybody else in the pit lane here. Yet they have struggled every single day. They are almost 10 miles an hour off the pace, which is unheard of from a team that won this race 10 times. Now, on Friday, we saw some remarkable footage from Emerson Fittipaldi as he was out trying to squeeze some speed from this car. Just have a look as he comes off turn 4. Look behind the car and the black streak. See the black streak there being laid down by Emerson's rear tire? Now have a look as we continue the video. You can see the black streak continues, then he goes back across the road. I have never experienced tire scrub like that from any car ever here at the Speedway, and it just goes to show that aerodynamic grip is not enough to make these Penskes handle. They've also tried to squeeze some extra mechanical grip out of it in what must be a very unusual way.
Well, Al Unser Jr. is having the same problems. The car's virtually identically set up. Jan Beekhuis can perhaps tell us more about the Penske situation.
Bob, we had an opportunity to check in with Team Penske, and it turns out that what they're trying to do is they're trying to settle the car down. You see, they have a lack of grip through the corners, overall aerodynamic grip. So one of the tricks that you do, you put a little more toe in on those rear wheels. That's what left that big black streak down the straight here. Now, you saw a little different streak between Emerson Fittipaldi and between Al Unser Jr. That's because there's a little different camber. As you change the camber, the width of that streak will change. Now, that may have worked last year with their 209-inch Mercedes-Benz because they had a horsepower advantage. It doesn't really work because when you see that black stripe now, obviously it scrubs off the speed of these Penske machines. Now, let's look today and see if we see any black strips, because I'll tell you what, if you're going to get the car free enough to make the field, I don't think you can lay down that kind of rubber.
No question about it. Remember, Al Unser Jr. won this race from pole a year ago. If he qualifies well back in the field, should make for a pretty interesting race come Memorial Day.
I think something else we should remember, Roger Penske has no experience and notes to draw upon from last season, because the car they had here last year was very different. They had probably 1,000 horsepower in the car that we all know didn't handle very well, didn't go through the corners very fast. So he has the same bad handling car here, but he doesn't have the horsepower to make up the deficiency.
Indeed.
Right now, though, back in the qualifying line, there are no cars presented. They are practicing out on the racetrack, and we have got a lot of information to get up to speed on from the qualifying earlier today and just generally what's been happening during the last week. So, Derek Daly, what we're talking about is the biggest story is the fact that Penske Racing is still struggling.
And it is the biggest story, and struggle is the only word you could use, because day in, day out, when people like Ari Leyendijk and Scott Brayton did lap speeds of 230 miles an hour with ease, Penske's was often 20 or 10 miles an hour slower than that. Well, the struggle went on day after day. Then they realized this racing car, the 95, is simply not fast enough around here. So Plan A went into action. They took a 94 car out. It was also slow. Now, some people suggest the 94 car was a bad handling car here last year, but the 1,000 horsepower that Mercedes gave them last year, they don't use that engine this year, but that masked some of the bad handling of last year, and they went on to win the race. Well, Plan B came into action. They went to a 94 Reynard. Roger Penske was very impressed at how many drivers seemed to find speed with ease in the 94 Reynard. So they put 20 men on it for 12 hours a day, 240 man-hours, and about $50,000 in cash. Al Jr. did just over 40 laps and said, no, this is not the ticket for speed either. Then they went to Plan C. Plan C is for them to change to Lolas. Now, Emerson Fittipaldi has had some of the Lolas. It's a car from the Rahal Hogan stable. Al Unser Jr. got one this morning. And with more on Plan C, let's go down the pit lane to my colleague, Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Derek. We might mention there is no Plan D. Plan D does not exist. Plan C has to work for Penske Racing, and they have been struggling all day behind me. Now, what's happened yesterday, Emerson Fittipaldi, as you said, received a Rahal Hogan 95 Lola Mercedes. Now, late in the day, as the shadows began creeping across the racetrack around 5:45 Central Time, Fittipaldi clocked a lap at 227.8, and they were all smiles. Rick Reineman and the rest of the crew saying, okay, we found it. Now, this morning, Fittipaldi came back out, considerably warmer, track temperature probably close to 120 degrees even early in the morning. His best lap of 223.4, and that would not get it done. He ran 22 laps, took the car back to the garage. They have just brought that car back on pit road, and their hopes for Emerson is that late in the day, as the shadows creep across once again, he'll be able to duplicate yesterday's run at over 227.5. Now the story for Al Unser Jr. He tried to develop the Penske chassis, the 95 Penske. Did not get a Lola from Rahal Hogan until late last night. The car rolled into the Penske garage around 10 o'clock with a new engine in it. He has been struggling. One day of practice is all he's had. The car back on the racetrack here just moments ago, 222.1 miles per hour. As you're watching Al Unser Jr. in a 1995 Lola Mercedes, 221. They have topped the tanks off. They are struggling to get the car up to speed, but they are being very, very cautious. So here's the plan for Penske. Look for Fittipaldi to possibly make a qualifying effort around 5:20 Central Time. With 40 minutes remaining on the track, he will try to duplicate that run of a day ago, 227.5. We may not see Al Unser Jr., unless the speeds change drastically the next hour and a half, make a run today. And unbelievably, the defending champion of the Indianapolis 500, Al Unser Jr., may have to wait until bubble day to qualify for the 1995 field. Guys?
Well, we're talking about the different cars that Little Al and Emerson has been in all week, with rain on all day of Wednesday. Here are the different cars that Little Al's been in, starting with the Reynard, then moving back to the Penske, and we'll take a look at Emerson Fittipaldi as well. But I think the key here, Derek, is how complicated this is for the crew.
That's right indeed. Just consider the man-hours that went into building that Reynard. But Al Unser Jr. was part of the decision to stay as long as he did with that 95 Penske, because he believes that would be his choice of car come race day. Of course, he's got to get in the race before he can even consider a race day. But of course, today, this morning dawned, and there is no more time to work on that 95 Penske. And this car here, which you'll recognize the color scheme of Rahal Bozell, is Al Unser Jr.'s only option left to get this car fast enough to qualify in the Indy 500. Hard to believe we're actually detailing a story of the past champion, the reigning champion, just trying to qualify for this great race.
While we look at this live shot of Al Unser Jr. trying to find speed here, let's go a little further up pit road to Gary Gerald.
And Paul, it's not just the Penske team that's in a stick.
So the track temperature has dropped substantially. That, of course, is measured, though, over here on the front straightaway where it's in shadow. He's now on the back straightaway on his warm-up, and that's very definitely in sunlight.
And look at those strong shadows being left by that car. The sun has come out again, and it does make a difference. It could be an enemy of Al Unser Jr. Al Sr. is right in front of us here. He's laughing, but that looks like a nervous laugh to me, because he's been through this before. He's standing with Paul Newman. They're trying to make conversation, but they are both very nervous.
They look up the straightaway now to watch for the passage of Al Unser Jr. as he flashes past down into the south end already. The second of two warm-up laps. Dwayne Sweeney is the starter here. He has the green flag in his hand, ready to give it to Al Unser Jr. Just a few feet away, Rick Mears jogging down the pits back toward the other car. They'll keep in contact with this car and try and find out what little information they will be able to from Al before the next run comes out with Fittipaldi, and they have an opportunity to make some changes. He now starts his 4-lap, 10-mile qualification run. We'll track the speeds through the traps for you into turn 1 at 2:30.
The key is to maintain that speed. Drops down to 2:23. What's it like coming off turn 2, 2:21? That is not a spectacular lap at the moment. Remember, this is the first of 3 attempts he has allowed. When the front row of the grid is already gone, the prestige of being there doesn't mean anything. It doesn't really matter where you start on the grid here for 500 miles. Scott Goodyear would tell you that after he almost won the race in '92. 2:18 off turn 4 is not quick enough.
Al Unser Jr., the first lap at 2:24.115. That's a disappointment.
Oh, that is a disappointment. Now watch as the speeds go up. No, they don't look that much better. 2 miles an hour quicker across the short chute. Watch turn 3. Watch the 2:29. Oh, it's slower. This doesn't look good. Watch the 2:20. It's the same, which means he'll hardly accelerate and pick up much coming off 4, the same. So this lap may be a tick quicker because of the short chute time at 2:25 across 1 and 2.
224.020, not as quick. He's averaging 224.067. And for a car that they said they would not wave off, Dwayne Sweeney has the yellow flag in his hand, and they are, in fact, waving the run off. So Al Unser Jr.'s first attempt in this car is waved off. That leaves him 2 more attempts in this car.
And the struggle continues. Chuck Sprague gets on the back of the USAC golf cart to come back. The yellow flag is waved. Believe it or not, the sun came out. Did that affect his run? And believe it or not, in Penske tradition of this month, the sun has just gone behind the clouds.
So now Al Unser Jr. will roll into the pits, and at the head of the qualifying line now, back here right at the starting position, is Emerson Fittipaldi. This is Keith Ward, who will take over as chief steward next year, getting a little training in advance, giving the final instructions to Fittipaldi. Let's listen in for a moment.
If you don't throw any flag, then the run's off, okay? Complete your run and come in on the warm-up pack. Okay, any questions?
So Emerson Fittipaldi is ready to climb in the car as Adrian Fernandez is already on his run, Derek.
So Derek Walker gets to celebrate as Al Unser Jr. makes it attempt number 2. Paul?
Right here, right at the box, just before you move into qualifying position, where Mike Groff is taking off right now. Here is Al Unser Jr. Roger Penske stands just across the way as he pulls on the gloves, pulls on the helmet, and is ready for a qualification attempt here. Now, once again, the car is the 11T car. That is the car that Rahal Boisel had originally scheduled as a backup car. It is a car that has been out once and has waved off, and so this will be the second attempt against this car. And we'd love to try and find out exactly what changes might have been made, but very wisely, most of the crew decided to stay over on the other side of the car where you can't actually get to him. Richard Buck, the chief mechanic, straps little Al in and gives him a final word of encouragement. Perhaps Jan Beekhuis can tell us what changes have been made.
Paul, we had a chance to ask Chuck Sprague right after Al Unser Jr. came in, and he said it was overall grip that they lost. They did pick up a little push, but they thought they could cure it by going out on sticker tires. So that's the biggest change we'll see for Al Unser Jr., and I bet there'll be a little wing tweaking as well.
On this, the third day of qualifying, still some time to go, about 15 minutes of qualifying scheduled here at Indianapolis as the engine sounds in Al Unser Jr.'s car, and there you see him, little Al, unfamiliar colors. It is the Lola. It is the backup car to Rahal Boisel, but look at the track temperature. Will it help?
Oh, it will help. Look at those stickers. He has gone on to brand new tires, Paul, as you said earlier. Jan had mentioned that they lacked overall grip. Well, overall grip can be enhanced by running brand new tires as long as the consistency of the stagger remains the same, because it affects the handling of these cars so much. Jerry Punch?
And Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi would not be qualifying today or have even a shot at qualifying if it weren't for Bobby Rahal and the man I'm standing behind right now, Carl Hogan. And Carl, what a tremendous gesture for you and Bobby to be able to loan a couple of cars. The only 2 cars you had here at the racetrack, the Penske Racing.
Yeah, it's a risk, but, you know, I think that they deserve it, and certainly the 2 drivers deserve to be in this race, and Roger helped us last year, so I think it's only fair that we help him, and I think that's the way this sport is, and I think that's what's important in the sport, that we help each other.
Emerson said earlier you even had the setup on it that Bobby had tried to tweak over 224, and that helped them get up to speed even quicker. But it's got to be tough for little Al with one day to try to get this car up over 225.
Yeah, Al's had a little bit harder time to get it up to speed, actually. But he's been doing it gradually. He's built some confidence in the car. And we've had our chief engineer working with him and all our people working with him, and we really want him to make it.
So possibly you could have all 4 cars in the field for Rahal Hogan as the green flag waves for Al Jr. The temperature is the big key, and it has gotten cooler here in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think you can find it much better than this. There's not any really strong breeze or anything. The track's in the shade, and the temperatures come down, so I think it's about as good as you're going to get.
That's Carl Hogan. The temperatures have cooled, the tires have been changed, and guys, he's hunting for that 227 he had earlier in the day in the final practice run.
So the second attempt for this car with Al Unser Jr. at the wheel is underway. There are 3 opportunities to qualify at Indianapolis. This is the second one charged against him. We watch for the first lap because that'll be the tail.
Doesn't look great.
2:23.959, not nearly good enough.
Oh, Al Jr., hold your breath. You may have to dig deep into the bravery bag here, because you may have to grab this thing by the scruff of the neck and try and wring some speed out of it. Now look at the second lap. The straight line speed is picked up, and the apex speed at turn 1 has picked up. So this is much, much faster.
Well, Al Unser Jr. has a reputation for being able to carry a race car, that is, make up for any deficiencies the car may have. Let's see if we're going to see one of those runs now.
No, it's faster. It's not spectacular, but it is faster.
And lap number 2 complete for Al Unser Jr. at 2:25.434. He picked it up substantially, mile an hour and a half.
Yeah, but the average is not good enough yet. The average is still only 2:24.6. So Al Jr. has to dig much, much deeper here if he's going to make this race. At the moment, this run is not fast enough. Look at the drop-off in speed at turn 2 also. This is not fast enough. No. Look at the turn 3 speed, Paul. No good.
Bit of a pickup of wind. The windsock both on the pylon here on the main straight and over in turn 4, standing straight out now. So he's no doubt getting some gusting down the backstretch.
This is no good. I can tell you now, the yellow. There it is.
Roger Penske with Chuck Sprague as team manager alongside calls off the second run on this car for Al Unser Jr. and the pressure intensifies on Penske Racing.
And this is plan C that's beginning to go awry here, because out of 3 attempts they've already used 2. USAC will give him 1 more attempt on that car to get into this race. Jan?
Well, Roger Penske is talking to him at the moment. He's talking to Al in the car. As soon as he finishes, we'll try and get a comment from him. Obviously, he's debriefing right now, so they can possibly find out what's wrong and get a handle on tomorrow. Chuck Sprague, can you tell us, do you have any idea what may have happened there with Al?
I'm sorry, I'm listening to Al at the moment. Let me just get his debrief here.
Getting a full debrief while they're making the run out there. That's amazing. Little Al rolls to a stop up at the north end. Now, Al Unser Jr. is still going to debrief. Frank Freon is the next driver to head out, and then Scott Sharp will roll into line. The real story here, Derek Daly, is the fact that if yesterday they were struggling, what are the Penskes doing today? They're still not in.
And it's hard to believe that the struggle continues, and I wonder at the end of the day, will we replace the word struggle with maybe with the word embarrassment, because it would be embarrassing for Roger Penske to miss this race. Think of it like this. Marlboro Team Penske is the benchmark that everybody measures themselves against on performance level and presentation. Well, the presentation as ever is immaculate, but the speed simply has not been there any day this month. They've gone through 4 cars. Started off with the 95 Penske, went back to the 94 Penske, a 94 Reynard, a 95 Lola seemed to be the ticket. However, the speed never came. Now, this morning, in conditions that we thought were maybe ideal, people like Davy Jones, who were also struggling yesterday, did lap speeds of 226 miles an hour. Penske's never made it over 223, so the struggle continues. Now, consider this. What happens at the end of the day? Let's say there's 5 minutes to go, and we have a Penske driver, Junior or Emerson, in the field. Maybe he's on the bubble. What happens if the other Penske driver's in line to potentially push him out of the race? I mean, we could have a catastrophe at the end of the day.
As if we don't have enough nightmares with those possibilities here. You saw Roger Penske just a moment ago down in the pits. Al Unser Jr. is in the 21T car. That is the Reynard. Our best indication is that that's not a car that they're particularly interested in. So, Derek, why is it out there?
Well, here's the reason. We saw yesterday Al Unser Jr. took 2 legitimate qualifying attempts in the Lola. One, he simply wasn't fast enough. The second one, the Mercedes engine blew up halfway through. He's only allowed 1 more in that car. If it's not fast enough, he has no other options except the Reynard. It's an officially entered car here. Therefore, that car has 3 more attempts. But the chances really of Al Jr. in that probably 50 minutes of cool weather that's probably faster this evening, the chances of him having 4 attempts at qualifying for this race is very slim, Paul. You know that.
That car is the backup to the backup.
Yes, yeah.
Who knows? So there is that car, and we will be watching that one and a number of others, all multicolored, that are coming out of the Penske stables today. Let's run up at Indianapolis. Practice continues to be underway. It is really too warm for the truly high-speed runs. Penske's contingent, as you can see, continues to wait and watch. We'll try to get in touch with Jerry Punch shortly as he watches this situation. Roger Penske has fielded a car in 26 consecutive years at the 500, most of those in the top 10. He has never been in the situation he finds himself in here, trying to struggle into the field on the last day of qualifying.
Now, let's give you a little background on this Reynard car here. This is one of Roberto Guerrero's spare cars. Pagan Racing leased it to Roger Penske. Penske immediately rebuilt the car. He was not comfortable putting one of his drivers into somebody else's racing car. They had 20 men on the car for 12 hours in one day. That's 240 man-hours just to rebuild this car and turn it around. Al Jr. took it out 3 or 4 days ago, and in about 40 laps only did a 218-mile-an-hour run and didn't believe this was the ticket to get them the speed, so they put it away. Of course, then things went from bad to worse. Then the Lola's 2 attempts came yesterday that came to nothing, and then they decided to go down to Stefan Johansson's garage. He had a 94 Reynard that did 226 miles an hour, so Al Jr. decided to bring the Reynard back out again, and Jerry Punch is down there.
Well, apparently what they have done is, Derek, they have made an administrative decision about the car number 21T, and what we are told they're going to do, they ran out just a few minutes ago and ran a couple laps. The maximum they could get was 213.9 out of this car, so they said we're going to pull Al Jr. out of the car. We're going to have him back in the garage area. We're going to rest him. In about an hour, we're going to bring out the 95 Lolas and run some laps, try to get that car up to speed, and possibly roll the dice, put all the dice in one hand. We're going to put everything we can in one hand. That's going to be the 95 Lola, because apparently this car, the time is running out. 214 miles per hour will not get it. Al Jr. back in the garage to rest. He gets one more shot at qualifying with the 1995 Lola. If that doesn't work, this will be the answer. But this answer right now is some 12 miles an hour slower than what he would need to get in the field. Gentlemen?
And there is no comparison. We were talking back in the media center, and all of the writers back there have been trying to find another comparison in sports to the fact that Roger Penske may possibly not be in the Indianapolis 500, and there really is one. There is no comparison you can find. There's not a team that's always in the series or the Super Bowl. It's really a remarkable situation.
I've never seen anything like this before. I don't think anybody here has ever seen a struggle like this before from a front-running, the best team in the business. Now, to give you an idea, just look at the record of Team Penske here. 29 times cars starting on the front row of the grid. And on the last row, well, they'd been there before. But you see that was a car qualified by my case. But let me give you an idea of how critical time is here. Speed is what we reference everything by, but in fact it's all measured in time. 224 is a speed nobody would consider taking. 226 sounds an awful lot faster and very safe. Well, to go that 2 miles an hour faster, it's only 0.2 of a second, approximately, around 2.5 miles of a racetrack. That's a fraction in each corner. That's the amount Roger Penske is missing, and it's so difficult to find that sweet spot that will give him that tiny piece of time that gets translated into miles, into speed.
Another one. When we talk about, as we have been this entire day, the pressure on somebody like the Penske team, what about the pressure on the chief steward of the race? You have a lot of agendas at play here and a lot of concerns.
There are, and there's many hypothetical questions that arise in your own mind about how you would handle this if this happened and that happened. And there are the pressure to get in this race, and you well know, getting into this race is more pressure than running it. And they'll tell you, I mean, to get in is what they sacrifice everything for. And this time, the afternoon, when everybody's having so much difficulty, the time when even the most honest mechanic will cheat if he can get away with it. So we have to, while this is going on, we have to be just more alert and, well, and at the same time planning for the future. But it's fun. You can tell by my voice. It's exciting. I don't want to leave it. I'd love to stay here for 22 years, but that isn't the way human beings are made.
You know, to show Johnny Rutherford, 3-time champion of the Indy 500. You've sat here many a time, but can you even conceive of the pressure that Fittipaldi and Little Al are under right now?
Well, to a degree, I guess. I never was in that position, being the winner previous year and coming back like that, but what a pressure it must be, because they are the 1 and 2 in the points, the champions. The cars have just haven't done the job.
Now, and that tells the story, the Penske problems at Indianapolis. And by the way, they continue. There is Al Unser Jr.'s car. It just died as it was heading out of the pit area. That is why Richard Buck and the rest of the crew were running down there. And the indication is some electrical problems that have plagued them, in fact, throughout the day.
And just look at that last lap speed, 222 miles an hour, nowhere near the speed he needs to qualify. And Unser Jr., the defending champion, does not like to have to suddenly get brave. He's a man who likes to work with the car, get the car to have the speed, and then he will take it to its limit. But he will not delve into the unknown, particularly at a place like Indianapolis that is so potentially dangerous when the car does not just feel right. So if the lack of speed in all these cars was not enough to stomach, now suddenly the car won't even go on one lap.
So here, where they say normally desperate men do desperate things, professional race drivers are very calculated.
Unser Jr. has, on a consistent basis, displayed a discipline most unlike other racing drivers, because he's never known to have that dashing, flamboyant style in practice or qualifying. He always thinks about the race.
Let's go up.
He's not even in this race, so he may have to dig a bit deeper than normal.
Well, the drama continuing to build, Derek, up here as Team Penske gets in line. We might mention that little Al Unser Jr. is about 10th in line, maybe 9th or 10th back here, but the concern is not where he is in line. The concern is what happened a moment ago on the racetrack. He went back out to run a couple of laps. He ran a lap at 2:22, and apparently the car shut off. They have brought the car back in. Everyone began to push toward the line. They had no choice but to put the car in line. They had taken the rear engine cowl off, and now the Penske engineers and the Mercedes engineers are working in the electronics area. They have changed a couple of the electronic boxes as they are working to try to decipher what exactly may have been the problem for this car having shut off a moment ago. They wait anxiously, and Al Unser Jr. has gone back to talk to some of the Penske people. Meanwhile, in front of him, about 3 or 4 cars up, is Emerson Fittipaldi. Now, Emerson went out a moment ago and clicked off a lap at 2:26.5. So I talked to Rick Reineman. They feel fairly comfortable that that can be duplicated, if not improved upon, momentarily when qualifying begins.
Look at that fact. Fittipaldi, Unser Jr. accounting for 9 last 11 wins here. And Penske cars accounting for that number. And the chance is that they may not be in this field. Unbelievable.
We remember 2 years ago when we began to document Bobby Rahal's problems. I mean, it's hard to believe as Shelley watches here. She has no control of the situation. In fact, Al Jr. sometimes has no control of the situation. But it's hard to believe we're documenting the possibility of the reigning champion and past winner and 2 of the best drivers in the world maybe not making it into the biggest racing event in the world. And Emerson, he's never in his racing career ever had to face a situation like this in the past. World champion, IndyCar champion, double Indy 500 champion.
And never having driven a Lola. He's in one now, and it is his only hope.
We'll use the same 3 laps. Out of the pits, a flying lap gives him a feel. He needs that flying lap because that's what gives him the feel and that's what gives him the confidence. Can he charge absolutely flat out into turn 1 when it counts? This is the warm-up lap that gives him that indication. He has a digital readout on his dashboard. He knows as soon as he crosses the start-finish line exactly what speed he is doing in the car. Look at the color scheme, so unfamiliar to see Miller Genuine Draft with Marlboro on the side and Emerson's helmet in it.
One attempt charged against this car yesterday afternoon at 225.498 miles an hour, an average for 3 laps for Emerson Fittipaldi. So he has 2 more chances in this car. That is assuming that he can actually get back into the qualifying line and present again should he wave off from this one. Some very tense people down at Penske Racing as they pushed the car up to the line and brought it out for qualifying.
Oh, that's a pretty good apex speed at turn 1, 233. That's the type of numbers he needs. You can see he lost 11 miles an hour, which indicates bad handling. He's got to come out of the power. Oh, 229.3. That's not bad. It's not bad. Still quick enough to qualify if he can maintain at 221. Look at that. He lost 8 miles an hour halfway through the short chute. 9 miles an hour That's still good. This is a good enough average to keep him in the field.
Look at the first lap now. 2:25.451. 2:25.451. That's going to be marginal for this field. He's got to definitely try and get that average up.
Look at that, 2:34. He still drops off. His exit speed off turn 2 and turn 4 is what's beginning to kill the speed in this car. He needs to try and pick that up. He's doing all he can. Oh, he dropped down into turn 3 also. What's his exit speed? 2:20. It's going to be close.
Looking for the completion of the second lap for Emerson Fittipaldi. The second attempt on the car. The speed falls off badly at 2:24.871 miles an hour. Now he's averaging 225.160. Would he take that average, he will be the slowest car in the field.
Oh, Emerson is beginning to flirt with danger here because the speed, from what we see, it's not there yet. Up a mile an hour into 3. That's not a good speed across the short chute in 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. Oh, drops down. If he's slow off 4, he's slow down this front straight. This doesn't look like a good lap.
It's decision time for Penske Racing now. The third lap at 224.243 miles an hour, averaging 224.854. Now, will they take this run or wait for the third possible attempt on this car, the last possible attempt? Keeping an eye on the starter, keeping an eye down at the Penske team members at the far end of the pit area as Emerson Fittipaldi tries desperately to make it into the 500 field. Will they take it? Will they take the run? Will they take the run? And they do. The checkered flag flies for Emerson Fittipaldi. He completed the fourth lap at 225.068 miles an hour, averaging 224.907 miles an hour. Emerson Fittipaldi is in the 33rd and final qualifying position. The field at Indianapolis is full. The bumping is ready to begin.
Emerson, I get the feeling as you got out of the car, you're not happy with this time.
No, not happy because yes, I went faster. And, much faster than today. And I had a pop-up valve blowing off today. It was a shame.
Was there just nothing more in the car, Emerson?
No, nothing more.
How disappointing in view of what you might have had yesterday when that was waved off?
Well, very disappointed because I was solid on the field yesterday.
Thank you, Emerson.
But Unser Jr., the focus is now on him.
And here is exactly the situation that you presented at the start of the show. Unser Jr. in position to bump his teammate Emerson Fittipaldi out of the field. What a dilemma for Penske Racing.
Well, at this stage, there will only be one Penske in this race, and Unser Jr. will have a decision now as to who, a hand to play in as to who it will be.
You saw the trauma that Shelley Unser was going through there. Jerry Punch, you were watching the last run on this car.
Unbelievably, Paul. Remember about 20 minutes ago when he went out, they ran one lap and the car shut off. They brought the car back in. They put it directly in line to qualify. We told you they thought it may be an electronic problem. I talked to Chuck Sprague. He said, we think that what happened was a simple vapor lock. And actually, the Penskes are not as prone to vapor lock, he said, as the Lolas. The plumbing's a little bit different. We don't need a vapor lock right now. We just put the car in line, cranked it back up, and hopefully he will get 4 uninterrupted laps.
A car that is unknown for the team. They've worked with their own cars. This is the Lola, borrowed from Rahal Hogan Racing. Unser Jr. has tried to get it up to speed for qualifying twice. First time he waved off after 2 laps at 224 miles an hour. His second attempt ran at 223.480 miles an hour, both of those yesterday. This is the third and final attempt on this car for Little Al.
Never have we seen this before. He could bump his teammate out of the race and have no guarantee that he's in it himself, because there are more cars in line behind him trying to get in this race.
The run begins for the defending champion of the 500, the defending pole sitter. Unser Jr. never has an Indy 500 champion come back to the 500 trying to qualify and not made it into the field.
2:31 into turn 1. But look at the amount he lost between the short chute and then into turn 2. Whoa, this does not look good.
Attempting to bump out his teammate, Emerson Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi's speed, 2:24.907.
Loses a huge amount of time in the short chute, 2:17 off turn 4. Not a good lap for Al Unser Jr.
Here comes the first indication as he goes into 2:21.992 miles an hour. Not nearly good enough for the defending champion.
He's obviously able to carry the speed down the front straight and into turn 1. But then, look at the handling difficulties he has with the car. Perhaps he's got way too much push because he's out of the power and loses a huge amount of time and speed. And of course, that makes him slow all the way down that long, long back straight. Picks it up a little bit in the middle of the short chute between 3 and 4. Exit speed off 4. Has to be higher. It can't be any slower than that. Still not a good lap.
Imagine what he's feeling in the cockpit. He knows how fast, or rather how slow it is, but he did bring the lap up to 2:24.092. The average at 2:23.037. Not enough to take Fittipaldi out of the field. He has 2 laps to go. The third and final attempt on this car.
Oh, he needs to dig deeper, and he is beginning to dig deeper. You have to get brave sometimes. He doesn't like being too brave between the concrete walls, but this is faster. This lap is considerably faster.
The Indianapolis 500, the most important event in this man's life. It is all he has ever dreamed of. 9 times the Unser family has taken the checkered flag here at Indianapolis. The third lap complete. 2:25.113. It begins to climb. The average 2:23.725. The last lap will tell the tale, and it will have to be hot.
And that first lap of 221 may tell the story, because I don't see enough speed here through our speed traps to lift Al Unser into the 2:27s or 8 range, which is what it'll take to bring that average above Emerson's. Al Jr. is in deep trouble.
Heading for the checkered flag, keeping an eye now on the final lap average. He has to beat 2:24.9. 2:24.907. He can't do it. He doesn't do it. Al Unser Jr. has not yet qualified. Fittipaldi is still in the field. Now what will this man, Roger Penske, do? The team has never been in this situation. 24 minutes to go. Cars still in line. Many cars still in line. They have no other car available. The C plan is the Reynard. It's not been as fast as the Lola.
Al Unser Jr. in the Reynard has never been fast. He used it today. It never performed. And all they can do is shake their head, because the hours and toil and turmoil of this month of May beginning to wear everybody down at the Marlboro Team Penske. Who'd have believed it?
So slowly now, Al Unser Jr. One victory this year at Long Beach, but he can't make it into the 500. At least he hasn't done so yet, and he is running out of time. On the course, Jeff Ward and Roger Penske making some decisions. Word from just up the tech line as they wave off Marco Greco is that both of Roger Penske's Penske chassis are going to be pushed into line. Cars that have not been nearly fast enough, there they are, being pushed back at the back of the tech line. Emerson Fittipaldi still on the bubble. Al Unser Jr. not in the show. Marco Greco waving off on the third attempt. Let's go to Jan Beekhuis.
Well, Paul, they are 2 Penske entrants, but one car you're looking at there was a Penske, but up ahead is the Reynard. These are the other 2 cars that Al Unser Jr. has spent time in. Now, they're very far back in line. I don't think they have a shot at getting Al Unser Jr. in either of these cars. I think what they're doing is they're trying to protect other people from getting into line. In other words, trying to jam up the line with their cars, so hopefully Emerson Fittipaldi can stay in.
Well, in theory, we probably only have time for 4, perhaps 5 more qualifiers before the final gun sounds for qualifying for the 79th Indy 500. Stefan Johansson.
Just about 2 miles to go, and we will have no Penske driver in this race. Johansson about to knock off the double IndyCar champion, former world champion, and he has everything he needs. He just needs one more corner.
Tony Bettenhausen and his driver Stefan Johansson, they stuck with the Reynard. Worked worked on it as hard as they could, made drastic changes, as you heard Jan Beekhuis tell you, and here he takes the lap. And the 4th lap complete. And 2:25.547 takes Emerson Fittipaldi, the second and final Penske car, out of the field. Tony Bettenhausen has a car in the field. And look at the joy and the celebration for the Alumax team down there. Tony Bettenhausen, a driver himself, he's worked so hard at it. Dick Simon there, John Menard there. Everybody celebrating what is a very popular run here, but a tragedy for the Penske team. Marco Greco, 2:16.
Bad exit,
turn 4.
Bad exit speed. They will have to give him one more lap to see if the new tires come up to temperature and come up to stagger and bring the speed up. But the gun has gone off, so Johnny Parsons will not get a chance anyway.
And Marco Greco's lap at 220.340 miles an hour. Not nearly fast enough. Qualifying, the 4 days of time trials is now complete. And Roger Penske's cars are not in the Indianapolis 500. This will stimulate newspaper reports around the globe for the remaining week. Many stories to come out of this. Al Unser Jr. and Fittipaldi are out. The field is set. I'm Paul Page for Derek Daly. So long from Indianapolis. A stunned Fittipaldi would be a spectator. So would Al Unser Jr. In the last of 3 tries, he simply was not fast enough. Now that means that Al Unser Jr. is not racing today. The first time ever for a defending champion who has tried and then failed to make the field. It leaves the field with only 3 former winners and no former multiple winners. Closer to these stories now, we can get with Sam Posey. Sam, the Penske absence may have a consequence far beyond today's race.
Well, clearly missing the race, Paul, was a devastating blow. What went wrong? Roger declined to be interviewed today, but what we know is this. In one stroke, the aura of Penske invincibility has been shattered, and it's hard to believe that his relationship with his sponsors will ever be quite the same again. Although Roger will win again, and I, for one, hope it soon, the myth is dead. And IndyCar racing seems changed somehow now that Penske is just another team.